I took in a little blind girl nobody wanted, and because she was blind, I teased her relentlessly, taking every advantage. That is until her real identity was revealed. She was the ruthless princess of Manhattan's elite, and her fiancé was an A-list actor. Terrified, I packed my bags that night and fled the country. 7 years later, we met again by chance, and I pretended not to know her. The stunning woman in a fiery dress slowly untied my tie, wrapping it around my eyes. Her voice was soft, but left no room for argument. You've been a bad boy, Declan. 7 years, 7 times. Don't even think about leaving until you've made up for every single one. I never expected to meet Clara again like this. She was the center of attention, a rising star in the business world, being interviewed by reporters. Dressed in a tight red dress, she was poised and articulate. Her elegant nobility radiated a cool, commanding presence that was both intimidating and breathtakingly beautiful. And there I was, less than 6 feet away in the crowd below the stage, holding a microphone and getting jostled about. Declan, why are you wearing a baseball cap indoors? Run into an ex? My buddy Jake joked. I quickly shushed him. Jake's voice wasn't loud in the noisy room, but Clara had spent a long time in darkness, and her hearing was much sharper than a normal person's. That's why I used to love whispering dirty things in her ear, watching the blush spread from her delicate earlobes down to her collarbone. I loved seeing her tremble, her fingers twitching with embarrassment yet unable to escape because she couldn't see. The young woman's lovely voice would grow husky, her unfocused eyes filled with a helpless plea that was utterly tantalizing. Please don't do this. I would nuzzle against her pale pink lips, slowly backing her into a corner. I'd watch her try to push me away, fumbling. I'd find the right spot, her hands occasionally landing on places they shouldn't, making her flinch like a startled rabbit. When I'd pushed her too far, I'd coax her in a low voice. Just say you're mine, and I'll let you go. Looking back on it now, I wish I could travel back in time and punch my lust-driven self in the face. Ms. Kendrick, your recent charity work for the disabled, is it related to your past experience with blindness? Did you face any discrimination or bullying during that time? Another reporter elbowed the rookie, asking the question. With Ms. Kendrick's reputation and temper, who would dare bully her? Clara's voice was cold, betraying no emotion. I did. I was bullied horribly. The reporters were stunned, buzzing with excitement as if they'd struck gold. It's been 7 years. Have you been able to move past it? If the person who bullied you appeared again, what would you do? Clara's lips curled into an almost imperceptible smile as she toyed with the ring on her ring finger. It might have been my imagination, but I felt her gaze drift in my direction. 7 years. I only remembered 2,656 days of pain he caused. He will have to repay it 1,000 times over. The room was warm, but a chill ran down my spine. No wonder people on the internet always say not to pick up strange women off the street. If I had known, I would have taken the homeless Clara to the police station instead of being captivated by her beauty and bringing her home. The reporter, sensing the tense atmosphere, tried to laugh it off. Miss Kendrick, you must be joking. Then he quickly changed the subject. Did Clara recognize me? After the interview, I tried to reassure myself. It wasn't just that Clara was blind back then, she'd never seen my face. Even a normal person wouldn't necessarily remember someone from 7 years ago. Thinking this, I let out a long sigh of relief. Mr. Carter, wait a moment. Outside the elevator, Clara's assistant, Miles, waved at me. I smiled and nodded, frantically mashing the closed door button. Just as the doors were about to shut, a pair of slender, pale hands shot into the closing gap. If it wasn't for Clara's impossibly beautiful face, I would have thought I'd stumbled into a zombie movie. Honestly, I'd rather share an elevator with a zombie than with Clara. Mr. Carter, you were... Miles began, looking confused. Sorry, pressed the wrong button, I said, lowering my head and trying to mimic my dad's raspy smoker's voice. Thankfully, Clara didn't seem to notice and walked straight in. Her official height was 5 feet 7 inches, a perfect model's figure with curves in all the right places, the kind that made you want to look twice. But I resisted, standing in the farthest corner from her, my thumb rubbing the scar on my wrist, a nervous habit of mine. The elevator descended from the 33rd floor. As more people got on, the distance between Clara and me shrank. The woman in front of me kept backing up, and just as she was about to step on my foot, Clara subtly moved to block her. For a moment, I couldn't tell if she was protecting me on purpose or just shifting her weight. Knowing her, it was probably the latter. In the cramped, enclosed space, I had nowhere to go. I was practically pressed against Clara, close enough to smell the faint, comforting scent that emanated from her. It instantly triggered some rather indecent physical memories. Few people knew that Clara didn't wear perfume. She had a natural body fragrance. 7 years ago, whenever I was agitated, I loved to launch surprise attacks, pouncing on her on the sofa and burying my face in the crook of her neck, sniffing her scent. Sometimes, when I went too far, she would have to soothe me, crawling in the dark to lift her shirt, revealing her snowy white chest. Her earlobes so red they looked like they would bleed, all while reminding me in her sweet, crisp voice, "Declan, only for 5 seconds." The blood-pumping curves, the soft, elastic feel, the burning heat. It all began to merge with the image of the cool, aloof, and unapproachable Clara standing before me now. I shook my head, trying to clear the chaotic thoughts, but my heart pounded faster. To distract myself, I looked around and saw a poster in the elevator for the ever-popular A-list actor, Colin Hart. The Harts and the Kendricks were old family friends, and Colin and Clara had been betrothed since childhood. Clara was notoriously frigid in her social circles, and during the time she lived with me, she was so distant she could have become a nun at any moment. A male actor once pretended to be drunk and fell on her at a party, and he was unofficially blacklisted the next day. Yet she had been photographed with Colin Hart multiple times. Not long ago, the cheap iron ring Clara always wore on her ring finger went viral online. The internet buzzed with speculation about the man behind the ring. Colin Hart quickly posted a picture of a similarly old-fashioned bracelet on his social media, sparking a frenzy of shipping and sending the topic trending. But that ring, it looked exactly like a prize I had won at a street fair game. So ugly that I had tossed it to Clara as a gift when I got home. The fact that she still wore it probably meant she used it as a daily reminder of the humiliation she had suffered. It had been a full 7 years. What kind of grudge couldn't be resolved in that time? I had thought our past was ancient history, which is why I dared to come back. I never imagined Clara would hold a grudge for this long. Mr. Carter. After getting off the elevator, I had only taken a few steps when I heard Clara's voice behind me. "Miss Kendrick, I stopped, steeling myself as curious colleagues all around us turned to look. I pitched my voice as low and gruff as I could. Clara walked towards me. "I heard from Miles that you did your graduate studies abroad and just returned last month to start working." Yes. Is there something I can help you with, Miss Kendrick?" I just wanted the conversation to end. "Welcome to our company, Mr. Carter. I hope we can work well together in the future." Clara extended her hand. I was about to raise mine to shake it, but remembered the scar on my wrist. Even though she couldn't see it back then, she definitely knew it was there now. I took a step back, hiding my hand behind my back, my mind racing. I quickly came up with an excuse. "I'm sorry, Miss Kendrick. My hand is injured. I just applied some ointment, and it's not dry yet." The woman's beautiful brow furrowed slightly. "Are you afraid of me, Mr. Carter?" "No, of course not. You're so kind. I mean, so approachable," I said, forcing a laugh though my heart was in my throat. I never would have imagined 7 years ago that the pretty, doll-like, and seemingly docile little blind girl would one day possess an aura so powerful it was hard to even look at her directly. Or is Mr. Carter being too formal? Would calling me by that special name feel more familiar? Clara lowered her voice, her long, beautiful eyes staring straight at me like a wolf that had finally cornered its prey, her eyes gleaming. I felt the blood freeze in my veins. It took me a moment to find my voice. "I'm a few years older than you, Miss Kendrick. If you don't mind, calling me by my first name is fine. My friend is waiting for me to get home and feed the baby, so if you'll excuse me. As they say, you make your own luck when you're out and about." I desperately tried to stay calm, to appear composed. My tone, my intonation, the curve of my smile, everything was flawless. But I forgot to hide my natural voice. By the time I realized my mistake, Clara's deep eyes had darkened, becoming unreadable, as if she could see right through me. The young woman's once soft and sweet voice, now matured with time, held a new depth as she leaned in slightly. The pressure was overwhelming, leaving no room to escape. "Declan, is it fun messing with me?" "Miss Kendrick, I don't know what you're talking about. I have to go. In just a few seconds, I had already planned my escape route. But just as I was about to make a run for it, my blood sugar dropped. The moment before I collapsed, someone caught me. The light flickered, and I vaguely saw the intimidating Clara from a moment ago, her eyes red. My frantic grab had rumpled her red dress, revealing a mole on her collarbone, which was unexpectedly sexy. It might have been a hallucination, but I thought I heard Clara whispering my name in my ear over and over, her tone urgent and full of concern. I couldn't speak. My vision went black, and I used my last bit of strength to point at my mouth, trying to signal her to get me something to eat. But Clara just stared for a second, then slowly leaned down. My eyes flew open. I tried with all my might to get up, but I completely blacked out. When I regained consciousness, I found myself in a hospital bed. A nurse next to me said gently, "Mr. Carter, you're awake. Just a little longer. The glucose drip is almost finished." I thanked her, my mind flashing back to the moments before I fainted. I couldn't help but lick my dry lips. Did Clara end up, kissing me? Even if I had been unclear and she had misunderstood, she was supposed to be in love with someone else. Why would she be so obedient to such an unreasonable request? If I asked her to let me go and give me $1 million, would she listen to that too? The nurse said, glancing around conspiratorially before leaning in closer, her voice low. "Are you and Ms. Kendrick, The nurse shyly intertwined her index fingers, a knowing smile on her face. I had no idea why she would have such a wild idea, and quickly waved my hands. "I don't really know Clara, and besides, isn't she engaged to Colin Hart?" The nurse gave me a look that said, "I'll just watch you make things up, buddy. You've got it wrong. That was just a joke their parents made when they were born. It doesn't count. But you, Mr. Carter, you didn't see it when she brought you here." Miss Kendrick's eyes were completely red. She was holding your hand so tightly. She looked like she was about to fall apart. She wouldn't let go no matter what we said. As a romance reader, I could smell the plot from a mile away. Luckily, the diagnosis was just low blood sugar and mild malnutrition. Otherwise, I was half expecting Ms. Kendrick to tell us that if we couldn't save you, the entire hospital would go down with you. This nurse must have read a few too many alpha female CEO novels. "You're mistaken," I said as the nurse removed my forearm from the drip stand. "She's vengeful and ruthless to the core. Right now, she's probably thinking up ways to get back at me." Ahem. The nurse suddenly coughed, giving me a pointed look. It was only then that I noticed Clara standing at the doorway. She had changed into a camisole and jeans. Her eyes were still a little red, and while her aura was still cool, she had a more youthful air about her. Just standing there, she was a picture of perfection. The nurse gave a bashful smile and quickly scurried away. "What's this?" I asked, pointing to the insulated container Clara was holding, trying to convince myself that she had just arrived and hadn't heard what I said. Clara took off her jacket and walked in. "It's food made by a vengeful, ruthless villain." My heart, which had been hanging by a thread, finally dropped. Clara opened the container and set the dishes on the small table in front of me. Sweet and sour ribs, fried chicken, boneless chicken feet, all smelling delicious and all my favorites. But seeing them, I was suddenly reminded of the past. When I was too busy with my studies to cook and had to order takeout every day, after the little blind girl moved in, my already meager savings took an even bigger hit. So using the excuse that being a good cook was a woman's best dowry, I pushed Clara into the kitchen, forcing a blind person to cook over an open flame. I had inadvertently trained her to become an excellent chef. When Jake found out, he sent me a string of voice messages. "Dude, are you for real? Did you forget she's blind? Aren't you afraid she'll get back at you when she's back on her feet? You're usually such a wimp. How are you so bold with the little blind girl?" I had weakly replied, "But her cooking is really good. Eat then, you glutton. Just keep eating. See where it gets you." Thinking back, Clara hating me and wanting me to pay wasn't entirely her fault. Suppose I was a little bit out of line. Been abroad too long, forgotten how to use chopsticks. As I was hanging my head in self-reflection, Clara reached out to touch my hair. I instinctively dodged. "Declan, you really don't want me to touch you? You weren't like this before." The woman's hand froze midair, her sweet voice tinged with an indescribable sense of grievance. I was a bit confused. Wasn't she supposed to make me suffer 1,000 times over? What was she doing now, pouting? Or was this some new form of torture? I get it. The phrase, "you weren't like this before," was a veiled accusation, a subtle jab at my past monstrous behavior towards her. Business people are such good actors, so clever. Even their insults are elegantly phrased. It was a close call. If my reading comprehension were any weaker, I might have actually thought she was sad because I was distancing myself from her. Clara, how did you recognize me? You never even saw my face. I had considered the possibility that with Clara's near-supernatural intelligence, she might one day figure me out after I returned, but I never thought my cover would be blown on our very first meeting. Since the cat was out of the bag, I wanted to die knowing why. There are so many people with similar voices, and even more with scars on their wrists. Plus, 7 years is enough to blur anyone's memory. I couldn't believe she could skip the suspicion phase and be so certain of my identity based on just that. Declan, if you thought about the same person every single day, yearned for them for 7 years, even dreamed of them, do you think you would fail to recognize them when they finally stood in front of you? Clara stared at me without blinking, her pupils dark and pure. Her eyes, usually so cold, were now swirling with emotion, the red rims suggesting she had been crying, making one want to cherish her. It was a stark contrast to the cool, aloof image she presented to the media. Instead, she looked like a beautiful, rain-drenched puppy yearning for its owner's embrace. I suddenly understood what the nurse meant when she said she looked like she was about to fall apart. Unable to figure out Clara's true intentions, my mind was a mess. I simply lowered my head and focused on my food. At first, I was worried she might have tampered with the dishes. With her power and influence, I had no doubt that Jake's grandson could be getting married while my body was still undiscovered at the bottom of a river. But after a few bites, I couldn't stop. I devoured everything on the plates. After 7 years of bread and potatoes in Germany, coupled with a grueling course load, the moment my tongue touched those ribs, I almost cried. After finishing the last grain of rice, I choked. I grabbed the water cup on the table and gulped down 3 big mouthfuls before realizing it was Clara's. The rim of the cup was now greasy. "It's yours now." "No," the woman said flatly. Clara was a neat freak and hated sharing things with others, especially men. I seemed to have offended her again. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." I wanted to offer to buy her a new one, but after seeing the brand, I silently closed my mouth. My gaze shifted from the stained rim of the cup to Clara's face, then down to her ruby-red lips. I couldn't help but think of her actions before I fainted, and a question bubbled up inside me. "By the way, Clara, did you actually—" The word kiss was on the tip of my tongue, but I couldn't bring myself to say it. My face felt like it was about to explode, and I wanted to bury my head in the pillow. For the first time, I thought it might have been better if Clara were still blind. "Do you want the answer to be yes or no?" Speak up, Declan." Clara's lips curved into a lazy smile, her gaze hot and inviting as if she would grant any wish. Clara, disguised as an ice queen. In 7 years, the woman had apparently changed her phone. It rang suddenly, breaking the ambiguous atmosphere and snapping me out of my daze. Clara answered the call. Miles's voice came from the other end. "Miss Kendrick, you haven't been in the office all afternoon. I'm with someone important." The woman paused, mouthing the word boyfriend to me. Clara, I was shocked by her audacity and lunged for the phone, but she suddenly raised her hand high. I couldn't stop and grabbed her collar. With a distinct ripping sound, several buttons popped off and scattered on the floor, revealing a large expanse of skin. "Don't be so eager, Declan. We'll have plenty of time for this later," Clara said slowly, adjusting her clothes. I was stunned by her brazenness, unable to utter a word. Miles was clearly flustered on the other end, stammering, "There's a man. A man there, Miss Kendrick. Should I postpone tonight's meeting for you?" "No need. I'll be back soon." When talking to others, Clara reverted to her usual cool and composed tone. After a 2-second pause, just as Clara was about to hang up, a shriek erupted from the other end. "Everyone, listen up. I think our ice queen is finally melting." The workaholic who would get in 4 drip just to keep working actually skipped an entire afternoon for a guy. Seriously, I've never heard Ms. Kendrick sound so fond before, and the guy's voice sounds a lot like Mr. Carter's. "Oh my God, I'm dying." "Wait, what? Mr. Carter, as in Declan Carter? Didn't he just get back to the country? How would he have had time to meet Miss Kendrick?" "Miles, are you sure you heard right?" "No way I'm wrong. Mr. Carter is from the South. He's fair-skinned, tall, and super handsome. I remember him clearly." "No, Miss Kendrick is my goddess. Declan is so lucky. How far have they? Hang on, my heart is breaking. I'm going to confront him when he gets back to the office. Stop spreading rumors. Ms. Kendrick and Colin Hart are the perfect couple, childhood sweethearts. Declan is just a regular intern reporter. Why would Ms. Kendrick even look at him? You guys believe anything. In the crowd, someone shouted, "Oh crap, Miles, your phone is still on the call. I'm so dead." With a mournful cry, the call ended. I straightened my back, trying to look more imposing. Clara, we broke up 7 years ago. Declan, no one ever said we broke up. We were just in a long-distance relationship for 7 years. The sunlight streamed through the window, casting a soft glow on Clara's fingers, making even the cheap ring look precious. After learning Clara's true identity, I had bought a ticket for a late-night flight and left in a hurry to avoid any trouble. I changed my phone number and Facebook account. I guess I never officially broke up with her, but after 7 years of no contact, any normal person would assume the relationship was over. Clara must be messing with me on purpose, as revenge for me taking advantage of her and tricking her into a relationship. Fine. I'm saying it now, let's break up. You wasted 7 years of my life. How many 7 years does a person get? A breakup fee of $1 million isn't too much to ask, is it? Clara's voice was lazy and lingering, like a feather's touch. How could she say something so infuriating in such a seductive tone? But Clara was now my and Jake's big boss. For the sake of our fledgling careers, I had to endure it. I couldn't afford to offend her. The bravado I had just mustered up deflated, and my voice shrank. Miss Kendrick, can I perhaps pay in installments? What do you think? Clara raised an eyebrow, took my phone, and expertly unlocked it to add herself on Facebook. When I got my phone back, I saw she had pinned her chat to the top. A second later, a notification for a $5,200 transfer popped up. What's this? The doctor said you're a bit malnourished. Starting today, you'll have all your meals with me. No. Employees have the right to refuse unreasonable requests from their boss, I said righteously. Clara slowly finished her sentence. For every meal we eat together, I'll transfer you $5,200. $800. My eyes lit up and I grabbed her arm, shaking it gently. Clara just watched me silently. Oh no. For a second, I forgot she was Clara, not the little blind girl. I felt a prickle of fear and was about to let go when she suddenly spoke. Declan, you're so handsome. What? Clara didn't take her eyes off my face. Sorry, my brain. Nothing, just short-circuited for a moment. I spoke without thinking. I knew it. What was with this woman? After thinking it over, I still want to say, Declan, you are really handsome. I'm so jealous of everyone who could see you before. My heart skipped a beat, thudding loudly. To prevent you from getting corrupted by money, let's compromise. $6,600 per meal. Clara left me with those words and walked out of the hospital. I slapped my beet-red face, warning myself not to get swept up in romantic notions. Clara was cunning. This was probably all part of her revenge. Lure me in, make me fall for her, and then dump me hard. I had to stay vigilant and not fall into her trap. If she wanted to act, I would play along. As long as she didn't mess with my and Jake's careers, everything was fine. After I was discharged, both Clara and I were very busy. The only time we saw each other was for lunch in her office. This became my biggest headache. The office was already a hotbed of gossip, especially after the phone incident. My colleagues looked at me differently. Any little thing could turn into fodder for the rumor mill. One day, while everyone else was out for lunch, I tried to sneak into Clara's office and jumped into Jake at the corner. Hey, buddy, where are you off to? The restroom. I lied. Jake glanced at the nearby CEO's office and gave me a sly smile. Declan, go work your pillow talk magic and convince Ms. Kendrick to cancel overtime this week. She's a machine and never gets tired, but us mortals are about to drop dead. While you're at it, put in a good word for me. Thankfully, Jake still didn't know that the little blind girl from back then was Clara. Otherwise, he wouldn't be asking me to put in a good word for him. He'd be dragging me to quit with him. Jake beckoned me closer with his finger and whispered in my ear, Declan, a high-quality woman like Ms. Kendrick has a lot of guys after her. This is a golden opportunity. If you don't take it, don't blame your bro for looking down on you. Oh right, I forgot. You've barely interacted with any women besides the little blind girl. When I'm not so busy, I'll be your wingman. I managed to get rid of my meddling friend and slipped into Clara's office like an eel. She was heating up our lunch in the microwave. The expensive Chanel suit paired with the Peppa Pig apron was a comical sight. Declan, is it illegal to reply to messages where you come from? Oh. I opened my Facebook messages, a bright red 99 plus icon, all from Clara. Declan, the food is getting cold. Why aren't you here yet? Transfer $5,200. Declan, did I do something to upset you? Please talk to me. Don't ignore me. Is it because of what happened at the hospital? Because I didn't show you what you wanted to see? Dozens of pictures of my chest from different angles. JPG, if you don't come over right now, I'm going to get angry. From this moment on, I will not send you another message. 1 minute later. Declan, did your blood sugar drop again? Declan, don't scare me. Declan, are you trying to leave me again? The latest message was from a minute ago. Reading the messages, it seemed like we were a couple in the throes of a passionate romance. Ever since I returned, I couldn't figure out what Clara was up to. It was like the sword of Damocles hanging over my head, ready to fall at any moment. During lunch, I mustered up my courage and took out my bank card. Clara, this is the last time we're eating together. I've gathered the $1 million. Let's break. My words were cut off by the sound of my colleagues' voices outside the door. Miss Kendrick, we're here to submit the joint proposal. I panicked like an ant on a hot pan, spinning around in a circle before diving under Clara's desk just as Miles and the others came in. My colleagues filed in. Miles, with his sharp eyes, was the first to notice something was off. Miss Kendrick, why are there 2 pairs of chopsticks here? Yes, why is that? Clara lowered her gaze, her eyes meeting mine. Her expression was terrifyingly dark. Thankfully, my torment didn't last long. Clara added nonchalantly, one is for vegetables, the other is for meat. I shot her a grateful look. The woman smirked and reached down, stroking my hair like she was petting a dog. A jolt of electricity shot through me, and I couldn't help but tremble. The presentation did not go well. They had barely read 2 pages of the proposal before Clara pointed out 10 problems. The atmosphere in the room was heavy. Probably thirsty from all the scolding, Clara took a sip of water. I seized the opportunity and tugged on her pant leg, mouthing my legs are numb. Clara announced, that's all for today. Go back and revise it. A blunt colleague blurted out, Miss Kendrick, you're so. Today, you usually scolded us for at least an hour. Today was only 10 minutes. The other colleague, Miles, laughed nervously and quickly dragged her away. I was about to come out when someone else entered the office. Even with a mask, hat, and sunglasses, it was clearly the actor Colin Hart. If I crawled out from under the desk, I'd never be able to explain myself. I gritted my teeth and curled up like a quail again, the view filled with Clara's long, slender, pale legs. Colin Hart placed a box on the desk. This is the limited edition men's cologne you asked me to get from the brand. Clara, I'm curious. What kind of guy are you chasing so hard that you still haven't caught him? My heart sank. Who was Clara chasing? The only man she spent a lot of time with was me. Clara retorted. And you still haven't won over your male assistant. Colin Hart chuckled, tapping on the desk. At least I wasn't abandoned for 7 years without a word. I didn't drink myself into the hospital, nearly freeze to death on a street corner in the middle of winter, or keep calling a disconnected number day and night. And I certainly didn't treat a worthless ring like a treasure, or put up banners on every bus and taxi in the city begging him to come back. You talk about hating him forever and making him pay, but the moment he shows up, you resort to playing the victim, seduction, throwing money, all sorts of cheap tricks. Clara, I really regret telling our friends you were the most rational person I knew. Wait, was the person Colin was talking about me? Clara rubbed her temples. I can't pretend to be in a relationship with you anymore. I found someone else suitable for you to use for cover. No need. Colin Hart stood up. I'm planning to announce to the media that I'm gay. If I lose fans, I lose fans. I can always quit acting and inherit the family business. Being true to myself is what's most important. Instead of speculating, it's better to just be honest. The handsome guy under the desk peeked my head out. Colin was already at the door, muttering, Straight people are so dramatic. Declan, what did you want to say to me? Clara's fingers were holding the bank card I had given her. There's $1 million in there for the breakup fee. I replied, stretching my stiff limbs. So you agreed to have lunch with me just to save up money to leave me? I nodded, then shook my head. Clara leaned against the desk, trapping me between her and the table, two shallow dimples appearing on her cheeks. I'll give you one more chance. Are we breaking up or not? Was everything Colin said true? The distance was too close. I didn't dare to look Clara in the eye. It's true. You like me, but you're afraid I'm just getting revenge, that all my kindness is an act. You're worried about falling deep, so you're trying to get away from me, right? Clara's smile was tinged with helplessness as she lazily rested her chin on my shoulder. Declan, you know you can't fake love, right? After all this time, you still don't believe me. My secret was out, and I became even more flustered. Nonsense, I don't like you. Declan, then can you explain why you saved every single private photo I sent you and even organized them into folders? One for morning viewing, one for late-night reviewing? My face turned bright red with disbelief. Clara, you went through my phone. You forgot to log out after we ate yesterday. I saw it by accident. I was still suspicious. You say you like me, but when you were the little blind girl, why were you always so resistant? Clara's laugh was low, vibrating against my ear. Declan, I had just turned 16 back then. Of course I was a little shy. Besides, I was angry back then because I thought you were only after my body, that you didn't really like me. If Clara hadn't been blind, I would have seen the fierce love in her eyes. But if she hadn't been blind, our paths might never have crossed. Fate is a strange thing. At 16, Clara was as shy as a little white rabbit. Now, at 26, she was a certified vixen. It slowly dawned on me. Clara, you invited Colin over during lunch on purpose, didn't you? So I would overhear your conversation. Yes, the vixen admitted readily. How else was I going to clear up your doubts? Declan, I admit I did think about getting revenge, but when you fainted from low blood sugar in front of me, I realized I couldn't do it. I'm sorry for making you misunderstand and worry all this time, but I really do like you more than anything. Declan, stop torturing me. Give me a straight answer. Are we breaking up or not? If you break up with me now, you'll lose $1 million. But if we don't, all my money is yours. If you want, I can arrange for a transfer of assets immediately. Clara had calculated everything perfectly, leaving me no room to refuse. Seeing my hesitation, the woman whispered seductively in my ear, and of course, I'm yours too. You won't have to look at my pictures late at night anymore. Clara, I grabbed her arm. The woman frowned pitifully, holding up her right hand, which was now even more swollen. Ouch. Are you okay? A wave of guilt washed over me. I'm not. I can't eat. People have to feed me. All right. With people coming and going outside the blinds, every time I fed Clara, my heart pounded with nervousness. After a tense meal, I couldn't stand Clara's intense gaze any longer and changed the subject. Let's go. It's time for the meeting. During the meeting, everyone was concerned about Clara's right hand. She answered matter-of-factly, "A puppy scratched me." Jake looked at me, who was trying to disappear into the table, and said pointedly, "What kind of dog have we met it?" Clara replied, "A border collie." I couldn't help it. My face remained impassive, but under the table, I gently poked her. After the afternoon meeting, everyone started to leave. I noticed Clara wasn't doing anything, not packing up her materials, not getting ready to leave, just staring at me, her beautiful eyes sparkling. Declan, let's go home. I was surprised. It's only 4 o'clock. Clara said nonchalantly. I'm giving them the rest of the day off. I had a feeling this going home wasn't entirely innocent. I was about to refuse when I heard her say mournfully, "If you don't come home with me, I'll be very sad. And when I'm sad, I tend to make my employees work overtime and have more meetings." Before I could say anything, a chorus of voices shouted from outside the meeting room door, "Go home with her." The loudest one was Jake. They hadn't left. They were all hiding outside the door listening. I stood frozen, dumbfounded. Some people look alive, but they're already dead inside. Back at her place, I wanted some fruit. Clara, without even taking off her jacket, got some cherries from the fridge to wash. I secretly opened the black bag she had just bought from the supermarket downstairs. Seeing what was inside, I immediately got up and headed for the door. Just as I touched the doorknob, I heard Clara's voice from behind me. "Declan, where are you going?" "Just getting some air. I'll be right back." Clara glanced at the disturbed bag on the table, and just as I opened the door a crack, she came over and shut it, leaning lazily against the door frame. "Declan, good boys don't lie in front of me." Clara slowly took off her jacket, unbuttoned her shirt, her eyes quickly turning red. You abandoned me for 7 years, Declan. Are you going to leave me again? I explained weakly. That's not what I meant. A woman's tears are a man's weakness. The night when Clara cried, I felt like the whole world owed her something. As if in a trance, I let her pull me into the bedroom. Declan, you know when you can't see, your other senses become much more sensitive. So every time you teased me back then, you were pushing my limits. Just as a wave of sympathy washed over me, I realized Clara was using my tie to blindfold me. Her voice soft but firm. I'm a bad boy, Declan. You need to make it up to me. 7 years, 7 times. Not one less. A soft pressure met my lips, and the air in my lungs grew thin. Outside, a light rain began to fall. Flower buds swayed in the wind. Soon, the rain grew heavier, pouring down. A bird cried out, soaring into the clouds until the dawn. How could I not have longed for you here? With the wind whispering and the world in full bloom, our love was finally overwhelmingly ascendant.